What's up YouTube? It's Samara, and if you are new to the channel, welcome to the channel where you get Samara that world, get it, some more of that world. And today we are going to do a story time. I mentioned in my previous video that I actually only had one really sketchy thing happen to me during the 9.5 months of traveling that I did, but in reality, after I made that video, I realized there's actually quite a few sketchy things that have happened to me, but none as sketchy as this one. And if you didn't check out that video, I'll go ahead and leave that in the description so you can go check that out after this. It was about safety tips for female solo travelers. And once again, you guys, if you guys are looking for travel advice specifically, feel free to check out my blog. I've got plenty of articles on there that are not on this YouTube channel. I'll leave that in the description. As always, give this video a thumbs up if you like it and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, you guys, before I get into this video, I just want to have you guys guess where you think this happened. Before I tell you what country it happened in, I want you guys to comment below what country you think this happened in. I'm gonna give you guys 6 options out of all the countries I visited to see which one you think this sketchy thing happened in. Comment below your thoughts, you guys. I want to know. And don't cheat by skipping ahead. Alright, you guys, so this sketchy thing that happened in Budapest, Hungary. I actually love Budapest, so don't let this story deter you from going. But as I had mentioned in my previous video on safety, you should always be aware of your surroundings, and this is why. Now, what happened is that I was staying at a hostel, and this hostel didn't have laundry service at that hostel, so they would send me to another hostel. And I basically went to this laundromat that my hostel would send me to, and that laundromat was attached to another hostel. And so basically the way that this worked was that the laundromat was on the first floor and the hostel was on the second floor. So this was actually the second time I had gone to this laundromat, and I was in Budapest for a while, so that's why I had to do my laundry twice. But anyways, while I was waiting for my laundry to be washed, I ended up going to breakfast. And so I went and got some breakfast, and I was walking down the street where the laundromat is, okay? So I'm walking down the street, and to give you guys an idea, basically this main street that I'm on the right of me is the hostel at the very end of the street, and to get into the building you have to press a button and then the hostel staff will let you in. Once again, the laundromat's on the first floor and the hostel's on the second floor. So I'm walking down the street, minding my own business, you know, I just had breakfast, I'm about to go back to dry my clothes, and all of a sudden I see this guy off in the corner, like in some intersection, okay? And the intersections aren't like they are in the US, they aren't big and huge. This intersection was smaller, and there was a couple cars going through, but there wasn't a ton of traffic. But basically this guy's in the middle of the intersection, and the reason why I noticed him is because he looked so weird. I don't mean he looked weird aesthetically, I mean what he was doing was weird. So he's out there in the middle of the intersection, and he's like literally like looking all around like this, like just like moving his arms around and just like looks so confused and lost. And I just thought either that guy's homeless or he's on drugs. Because I mean, really the way he was walking and moving around was just like he didn't know where or what he was doing, right? And I remember just having that thought for a split second, but I was looking at him because he looked so strange. Like he just stood out amongst everyone because of the weird movements he was doing and the fact that he kept like looking around like this. And sorry, I'm moving around a lot, you guys. Anyways, so then all of a sudden, me and him end up making eye contact for a split second, right? You know when you make eye contact with people accidentally that you don't want to, and then you're like, oh shit, and then you look away? That's basically what happened. So me and him made eye contact, I looked away because I'm like, oh crap. So then, all of a sudden, I noticed that he starts walking after me. And I don't mean just like, oh, lackadaisically, like as soon as we made eye contact, he was like, she's the one. Like that's the feeling I got, that he just like honed in on me and was like, I'm going after her, because he immediately starts walking in my direction, like literally walking super fast and towards me. And like I said before that, he was just like this, like looking all around, right? And then as soon as we made eye contact, he just was like walking really fast. So then I'm like, oh shit, is this guy like following me? So immediately, I told you guys, I was already walking on the street where the laundromat was, so I was kind of close. I maybe was like 2 or 3 minutes from that actual laundromat, because like I said, it was at the end of the road. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to go into the hostel like quickly. So I'm like walking real quick, and then I get to the hostel, press the doorbell, and I go inside. And I'm like, if this guy's following me, we'll find out real quick, because he's gonna try to go inside this building. So then I go in, and guess who follows behind me? This guy. So then I go upstairs, because at this point I need to break my cash, because you need coins to make the dryer work. And I was just like, whatever, I don't know if this guy for sure is following me or if it's just a coincidence that he's coming into this building. But anyway, so I go upstairs and I start talking to the staff, and she's like, hey, hold off, because I need to talk to some other people. So I'm sitting there waiting for my money to get broken, and this guy gets into that building and then also comes upstairs, okay? Now this is where things get real weird. So this is a hostel. He probably realizes that people are staying here, because you can tell that people are asking questions about staying, and he's just observing, right? And then he starts asking her really weird questions. Now, mind you guys, this guy had absolutely no bags on him, no luggage, okay? But he starts asking her, hey, so is it like really loud around this area? And she's like, yeah, actually, to be honest, this is a party hostel. It gets quite loud outside. And he's like, oh, okay, well, so he doesn't even, just disregards the fact that she said it was a party hostel, even though he kind of asked it as if, he didn't want a party hostel. But anyway, so then he goes, so, if I want to stay for more than one day, can I do that? And then she's like, yeah. And then he's like, so if I want to stay for 4 days, but I only decide I want to stay for 2 days, can I do that? And she's like, I mean, you can do that, but if you pay for 4 days and you decide to only stay for 2 days, we have to charge you for those 4 days anyways, and we can't refund you. He goes, well, what if I want to stay for 2 days and I want to stay for 4 days? And she goes, yeah, I mean, if you want to stay for 2 days and decide you want to stay for 4 days, you can do that. And he's like, okay, well, I'll think about it. So then I'm sitting here like, this was the weirdest conversation ever. This guy's clearly never stayed in a hotel in his life, okay? So I'm like, all right, let's just see how this plays out. So then I go up to her, I'm like, hey, can you break my cash, please? She goes, sure. So she breaks my cash, I go downstairs, and this guy's thinking about it in the corner, okay? Once again, we're on the 2nd floor. So then I get my cash broken, and I start walking down the stairs to go do my laundry, because I'm thinking maybe I'm crazy, this guy maybe isn't following me, maybe he really is just trying to stay in this hostel. Okay, so I go downstairs, I start putting my laundry in the dryer, and guess who follows me and comes downstairs? The dude, right? So then he plops himself down, sits down on a chair, and I'm the only person downstairs on the 1st floor with this guy doing my laundry. And I'm sitting here thinking, if this guy's really thinking about staying here, why does he have to come down to the 1st floor to do that, right? Once again, this guy had no bags on him. So I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm staying down here with this psychopath. So I go upstairs and I tell this woman, listen, I think this guy followed me off the street. I told her I saw that he looked like I thought he was homeless at first. He was literally on the streets wandering, looking confused and lost, and then we made eye contact for a split second, and then he started walking in my direction and followed me into this building. And I'm a little bit sketched out because he's just sitting there downstairs waiting, thinking about staying here. And at this point she's crying. The crying thing has nothing to do with the story, but she's crying because some people that were at the hostel had basically, I don't know what happened, her feelings, I don't even know what happened. Some things were going on in that hostel that I had no clue what was happening. So anyway, so she's like, yeah, I'll be downstairs in a second, just wait downstairs and I'll help you out. So I go back downstairs hoping, okay, hopefully this girl kicks this guy out and does it in a smooth way, but that's not what happened. So she starts running down the stairs because she's gonna go outside to take a smoke, okay? And as she's running downstairs and out the door, she goes, can you please leave because you're making her uncomfortable? And I'm like, no! Why would you tell him that? Why would you tell him that I'm uncomfortable? Like, if he's a psychopath, he's probably gonna, feed off of that, right? He's gonna love that. And then as soon as you tell him that, he's going to know that I know. And I didn't want him to know that I knew, right? I didn't want this guy to know that I knew he was stalking me, okay? Because I wanted to be able to call the police and get out of there. And I'm like, now this guy knows that I'm afraid of him and that he's making me uncomfortable. And I didn't want him to know that. I didn't want him to know that I was afraid, right? Show no fear, you guys. Show no fear. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she just told him that. And as if that wasn't bad enough, I look over to the guy and he's sitting there like with a maniac smile on his face that wasn't there before. He sits there and he's like, he, like literally so happy that he's making me uncomfortable. So clearly he was getting joy out of the fact that I was uncomfortable. And I'm like, this guy is literally messed up. Like, this guy really might want to kill me or kidnap me. Like, I don't know what the hell that guy was thinking. So at that point, I'm like, oh, I am not staying in this laundromat any longer with this dude. So I walk outside because, like I said, the girl had gone outside to take a smoke. And I start telling her, listen, I'm being serious. I think this guy followed me into the hostel, and you didn't think it was weird that he didn't have any luggage on him while he was asking you all those questions? She goes, yeah, you know, now that I think about it, yeah, it was pretty weird, and all the questions he was asking me were pretty weird too. You might be right, he might have actually followed you into this hostel. And I'm like, yeah, so maybe we should call the cops. And so then all of a sudden her friend comes out, because like I said, this girl had been crying, so her friend was gonna come out to console her. So then I start talking to her friend, telling her like, hey, listen, this guy, I think there's something wrong with him. And mind you, while all this is going on, we can see him from inside because there's windows. So like I could see him and he was just still sitting there, and he was also looking back at us, so he could see that we were having this whole conversation. And I think at that point he realized that we were probably about to call the cops on him, so he finally gets up and leaves the hostel. Okay, and the crazy part about all of this is that this guy might have thought that I was staying there. So he might have left thinking, well, I'll just come back and hide so that when she leaves the next time, I'll be able to snatch her because now I know where she's staying. But lucky for me, I wasn't actually staying there. If you guys remember, at the beginning, I told you that my hostel would send me to this hostel just to do my laundry. So I would just go there to do my laundry, and then after he left, I went back to my real hostel and he never found out where I was. But the moral of the story is, you guys, like I said in my previous video, you need to be aware of your surroundings so that if someone follows you somewhere, you know that it's happening. Because if I hadn't have seen that guy, if I hadn't have noticed that he was out in that intersection looking like a weirdo, just, you know, right? I wouldn't have even thought that this guy was following me, because I could have really just thought this guy came in to ask genuine questions about staying in the hostel, but I think that was just a ruse or just a facade to make it look like he wasn't following me, right? And I might have left the hostel and he might have followed me out of the hostel as I were to go back to my hostel, right? Like any number of things could have happened, but because I saw what happened, I saw him follow me in, and because I wasn't believing his act and I made a scene and told the staff, he ended up leaving. And we didn't have to call the cops. He didn't follow me because he left. I literally saw him walk far, far down the street. And even when I left the hostel, finally, to go walk back to my hostel, I was very aware, like looking like both ways. Is he around? Nope, he's not. All right, gonna keep walking, you know? So that's what I mean, you guys. Be vigilant, be aware of your surroundings. If you think someone's following you, make a scene, let people know they need to call the cops. And if anyone ever knows where you're staying, you need to leave. Don't stay there another night. If I had actually been staying at that hostel, there's no way I would have stayed there another night. Once that guy left, I would have left and stayed at another hostel for my safety, because who knows, that guy might have gone back to that hostel to see if I was still there. So yeah. Anyways, that is all I have for you on this story time. And once again, you guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment below. I want to know your thoughts, and subscribe as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.